Well, that was fast. To think that this battle between Netflix and Paramount and Warner Brothers was going to continue on. Apparently, Netflix has dropped out of the bidding war, and now Paramount is getting Warner Brothers. So we're going to talk about that because I have some things to say about this. If you guys haven't already, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. I am trying to get to 1K subs. Thank you guys for the people who are supporting my channel. And if you guys don't like, as usual, if you guys don't like, me, making this stuff and all that, I do reviews and stuff too. So, I'm gonna try not to make announcements of this every single time from here on out. But I will bring it up every so often just because I get new people in, But, yeah. Because I just know this stuff can be very controversial, especially what we're going to be talking about here. And all that. So, yeah. But, that's pretty much all I have to say. So, well, I guess also make sure you guys are still subscribed too. Make sure you guys are still subscribed, because I've heard in the past people have gotten unsubscribed. I haven't had that problem, but I have heard it's been an issue with certain channels and stuff. So, make sure you guys are still subscribed and all that. And, now we can go ahead and talk about this. So, yeah, apparently, I was thinking this was gonna go on for like a few more months, or at least another month. But no, apparently, Netflix actually, dropped out of the bidding war. So now it means Comcast, sorry, I'm thinking of Disney and, Comcast when they were doing the Fox thing. No, this is, Paramount. Paramount was, it makes them automatically win, Warner Brothers. Now, there's probably gonna be some rules and stuff, like they're probably gonna have to, like, sell some stuff off, like, because Disney wasn't allowed to keep, Fox News and all that. They weren't allowed to keep it. So, I'm not really sure what's going to happen, to, CNN and all that. Honestly, I don't even really care. I mean, does anybody really watch the news much anymore? I mean, yeah, I guess you can say they probably have it on the radio or something, but I'm just like, does anybody really watch it anymore, I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't know, I think, there was actually multiple different versions of it, too, because, at school, we even had a CNN 10, with, like, this host called, Carl Lazouz, or something like that. I kind of hated it. I'm like, I don't want to, like, sit at school watching this stuff, I'm like, because we did this, like, during fast time, I'm like, because we got to do stuff after fast time, or, like, they've changed the name. I think it was, I think it was Fast Time, and then they changed it to, I don't know, they changed it down the road to, like, something else, because they made it a lot longer and all that. It was called it wasn't called Homeroom, or actually was it? I don't know, like, our school changed it and all that, and, yeah, I don't know, but this was a thing that we had to do and all that, and it was not really fun. I mean, honestly, I've talked about that I kind of didn't really like high school a lot. I mean, it had some moments, but it was not my favorite. A lot of people say, oh, like, if you go back to school, like, you're gonna want to go back to school. I'm like, if I don't want to go back to any school, I would go back to, like, Special Learning Center. I would go back to there. I mean, even though I didn't really want to be there either, I'm just saying, I would have, rather have gone back there, but anywho, yeah, I don't know exactly what's going to happen to CNN. I don't know. I just know they're not going to be allowed to own it. And the thing is, though, is, you know, they could people are saying they can shut it down and all, but I'm like, are they gonna be even allowed to get it because they already have their own news station, I don't know. It's very complicated. It's very complicated stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the Netflix thing. The reason why I think Netflix, the reason why they bailed out is because things were escalating and they kept going to court. People were trying to fight them. And we do have the president in the United States. I mean, whether if you guys hate him or like him, you have to admit that he is the president of the country, or, our country, and all that. And I think he really wanted, like, CNN kind of gone and all that. Now, people were saying he was going to try to stay out of it, but I think he probably was getting involved with it, too. Because Donald Trump is a very, very stubborn guy. Like, he does not like it when people, criticize him and this and that. And, he's had a very bad history with, the, with CNN. He also had, I think, a history with, like, all these other news outlets, too, like ABC and all that, and, Universal's, they had problems with it. I think he actually tried to sue them. And then, like, there was also a problem where, there was a problem, with that, with, like, Paramount before Skydance merged with it, so that probably saved them from getting, into a battle with that, too. Because, they were bought out by Skydance. And all that. So yeah, I mean, he's had some brief history with Hollywood. Hollywood kind of pissed him off and all. And I mean, yeah, I can kind of understand because, I mean, I don't like Trump. I've said that. I don't like either party. I don't like either of them. I said I kind of voted for, like, the less of the two, problems, because I think both of them, like, have issues, but that's just my opinion. Like I said, I don't really care who people vote for. I'm just saying, but yeah, that's kind of the thing that's been going on there. But, the thing is, though, is the guy, was, on, like, CNN and all that, when they were doing that debate and stuff, they were covering up some of the crap that was going on, even in ABC. Like, ABC was like that, too. Yeah, ABC Family was like that, too. Or, not ABC Family, that's the channel, sorry. The news part was like that, too, during the debates. They were fighting with them and all that. So clearly, like, there was problems behind the scenes, like, because, like, I was watching, like the debate with, like, Trump and Biden and all that, and I've said it was painful to watch, because Biden was not functioning very well and all that, and, Trump was, there and all, and I mean, yeah, like I said, I'm not a big Trump person either, but I'm like, I don't like when, they kind of kiss one side or the other when it comes to politics, but yeah, they were covering up for Biden and all, because even when the live streams were over, I watched it, and Biden was low. He was very low, but Trump was really high. But as soon as the debates were over, they hid all that crap. They tried to hide it. I mean, they tried to censor you on social media and all this shit, just to get, just to keep Trump out of office and all that. And I'm like that's not fair. That's totally against, the law and all that. Like, they're not supposed to be doing that, but they're getting rid of freedom of speech and stuff like that. And they were doing that kind of shit with Kamala Harris, too. Like, some people are trying to say, oh, she was a great person and all. I'm like, if she had been a better choice, why the hell were they fucking hiding your comments and shit? They were doing that, like, they were doing all that shit under Biden and stuff, so clearly things were not very good, and, so now we're kind of seeing the consequences of their actions, now we're seeing, them collapsing because of this stuff they're doing. Like, you can see what I'm talking about. You can see what I mean. Like, they are like, they did all this crap, and now they are having to suffer, for what they did. That's kind of what that's what they kind of get for, doing all this stuff. And all that. I'm not saying, I'm not saying the president should get involved with all this crap either. I think the president should be focusing on the freaking country, not a damn studio. I'm just saying, I don't really feel bad either for losing these news stations. And like I said, a lot of people probably don't even watch a lot of them anymore. There's so much other podcast out there, I don't know. I'm just saying. But yeah, so on Netflix, though, I was gonna say Netflix, the reason why I think they bailed out of it is, like I said, they didn't want to fight. They didn't want to fight with all this stuff and all that. They felt like it was too of a headache, and it was probably costing a lot of money. So they didn't want to fight and all that. Because they were actually supposed to get it. They were supposed to get Warner Brothers. But then, that didn't happen, because Paramount, and possibly the president, which again, I mean, I say possibly because maybe he wasn't involved with all this, but I think he was involved with some of this because, they a lot of that antitrust crap and all they were trying to pull. Because I think it was Skydance was trying to say that shit about like Netflix. They were trying to say it's not that, like, it's an antitrust thing. And I'm like, what would Netflix be really getting, with Warner Brothers? Yeah, I mean, yes, they would get, like, their movie library and all that, but, like, Netflix pretty much doesn't have anything. They pretty much don't have anything. I mean, they might have some stuff, but they don't own really anything, besides their service. So they don't really have a studio, to have, franchises from. So that kind of can cost Netflix some money too. But then, like I said, Paramount, it's okay when Paramount, when they get the crap, you can see what the problem is here. And if you look at it, I've showed off that crap. If, even if, like with Paramount getting Warner Brothers, they're still smaller than freaking Disney. They're still smaller than Disney and freaking Comcast. They'd still be smaller than them because they still wouldn't own as much IP. They still would, they would own a lot of the freaking, online market and stuff. Because they own, like, TikTok and all that, but they still don't own as much shit as freaking Disney and, Universal do, which is Comcast. So, yeah, I don't see why they're fucking arguing about that shit, and I mean, it's people in general, but yeah, they were doing it too. I think they went to court and all trying to fight the stuff. Because they really wanted Warner Brothers, which again, I think if you're that desperate, to get it, I don't see why you should get it. I'm not saying, I mean, I like my physical media, but I'm like, it seems awfully strange, to, go fighting for it, but they got what they wanted, so, but again, they're trying to argue, like I said, and say Netflix would be an antitrust law, but I'm like, you got Disney after they bought out Hulu, they got most of Fubo TV, and all that. I think they actually, they own, like, Maker Studios, too. I think they shut that down, but they technically still own it. They're able to buy all this shit up, but freaking, Netflix wasn't able to do that. And that's kind of where I think people are going to be kind of like, I don't know, people are not going to really be like that part, but I think people will like, they will like that they get to have actual, Paramount will actually, at least release physical media and all that for now. I don't know if that'll change or not, because the Ellisons may be focusing more on streaming, but that might be a good thing for now. But I'm just saying, I don't know, I kind of don't think it was a fair argument, but that's just me. But now we could talk about some other stuff too. So I don't know I didn't actually bring this up in the last video. I meant to and forgot. But apparently, Warner Brothers for some reason was gonna put all their Cartoon Network shit on Tubi. Like, will that still be happening, or will it go to Paramount Plus? Because I'm sure there's probably gonna be, they're probably gonna shut HBO Max down, and then I think a lot of that crap's gonna get shut down and all that, and because Paramount already owns, they own Peacock and not Peacock, I'm sorry, Pluto TV. That's what I meant to say, Pluto TV. Ellison's own TikTok, which owns Paramount. They got Paramount Plus. And I don't know, they might have another streaming service too. So I'm like, again, like I said, it just doesn't make any sense there. But with that, but yeah, I don't know why they were putting all their shit on freaking Tubi, if they had their own streaming platform. I don't know, because maybe because of that battle going on with Netflix and Paramount, but they could have still kept their shit on HBO Max. So I don't know. I don't see the point of them doing that. I don't know. But I don't know. That's the thing too. I don't know what's gonna happen there, because that's where it was gonna go in March, which is actually gonna be tomorrow. We're gonna see that tomorrow. So that's gonna be interesting, tomorrow, we're gonna see all of that. If, it still happens, which it might be, because the deal will still have to go through the systems, for Paramount and all that, before that, that can happen, which could take like 6 months to a year to do, but I don't know, I'm just saying, it's kind of weird to put it on Tubi, but I don't know. But yeah, to be fair, David Lastly, he purposely fucked Warner Brothers over. He totally did. That's what he was there for. He was there to, cut cost and gut shit and ruin shit and to, fucking sell it off, Definitely a very bad CEO, but a lot of these companies have shitty CEOs. A lot of them do. It sucks, but, that's what we have, We have a lot of shitty CEOs. But yeah, that's basically what he was. That he was put in there just to do all that, damage to the company, and now it's getting, bought out by Paramount. So, yeah, there's that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, what will happen either, now that Paramount, owns it. I will say it's definitely better than fucking Disney owning Warner Brothers. I've heard some people say that Disney should be allowed to buy, should have not been allowed, they should have bought Warner Brothers, but I'm like, you guys seen all the shit that they made? They fucking ruined a lot of franchises. They ruined them. For example, when they bought out Fox, they not only overspent on it, but they, fucking, cut a bunch of shit there and all that, and they ruined the property and all that, too, which that may happen with, Paramount, and I'll talk about that in a second. I don't know, but even the properties they didn't gut, they kind of ruined. Like, for some reason, a lot of like the actors, you know, they have to be played by freaking like the same, you know, race and all that shit, but then their live action remakes and stuff, they like race swap the characters and stuff, and you can be like, well, they're live action remakes. But the whole point of those movies is they're supposed to recreate the 2D stuff, you know? So, like, Ariel, I don't like that they, you know, race swapped her, because, Ariel was a redhead and all that, and it's hard to, like, recognize who the character is. Like, I can't tell it's Ariel, you know, because it doesn't look like Ariel, you know? And again, like, you could say it's a live-action remake and all, and it's not, like, the voicing the characters, but I'm just saying, you know? They have no problems doing that, but in the cartoon stuff where you can't even see the voice actors because they're voicing the characters, they have no problems doing all that shit. Like, it makes no sense at all. Like, it does not. It's just stupid. Like, it is really stupid. And, you know, like I said, they done other stuff. Like, they shut Blue Sky down. They canceled a lot of projects that were in the works. And even before all that big merger, they also, like, ruined Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm is ruined. You know, and hardly any of their merchandise is freaking selling anymore and all that. And, you know, I'm just saying, like, it goes on and on and on, you know? And yeah, I will say Paramount has done a little bit of that with, like, the Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. But they're not even close to as bad as, you know, as what, you know, Disney and all that has been doing. So yeah, I think Warner Brothers, I don't know how it'll be on Paramount's side, but the main thing I'm worried about with Paramount is how much is it going to cost? Well, how much, you know, debt will they be in or something like that, because Skydance had to bail Paramount out of debt. They were in financial trouble. And if it wasn't for Skydance, like, love or hate the Ellisons, you gotta admit, if it weren't for them, Paramount probably be gone by now. You know, but the thing is, though, is they were in a lawsuit with freaking Trump, and they were having a hard time, you know, paying for stuff, so and all that. So, but the fact that the freaking Ellisons, you know, which also, you know, I've said that, you know, they just saved, you know, that. Now it seems like they're, you know, the Ellisons are now going on a fucking money spree. I've said they're like Iger. They're like fucking Iger. They're going and buying a bunch of shit up, like, one thing after another, and it's hurting the company, and the employees are going to suffer and all that, you know, in the long term. And they seem to be really, I think they're really big on streaming too and all that, and obsessed with politics and all that. Now, I don't know if they've done anything with the politics yet, but I'm just saying, like, I hope they kind of just stay out of it, because, you know, I don't think they should be getting into politics with their stuff either. And yeah, you could be like, well, it'd be better than having all this woke shit and all that, and this race swapping and whatnot, but I'm like, you know, I don't know, I feel like sometimes people like that can go too far too, you know. I mean, I don't want to talk like, I'm talking kind of like I'm criticizing people. I've said that I'm in the middle of all this. Like, I don't agree with both sides. In fact, I think the right is less toxic than the left side, but they can have their problems too. I'm not saying everybody, you know, because I would even include myself, because if you think about it, technically I voted for, you know, the president and who we have now, even though I've said I don't really like either one. I don't like, you know, the whole, like, I feel like the LGBTQ stuff and all that getting pushed and all that, like, I've said that there's nothing wrong with it being in films and stuff and all that. And I feel like people kind of, well, not everybody, but some people look at it like, there's some people that look at it like, like I feel like people think it poisons kids' minds and all that, and I'm like, this stuff's been around for a long time. Like, people don't realize this crap's actually been around for a long time, I mean, yeah, it's gotten out of hand recently, but it's been around for a long time, and there's nothing wrong with it being in kids stuff. Like, I think that's just ridiculous. Like, it doesn't make any sense and all that, and I feel like people are trying to act like it's like I don't like it's a freaking mind controlling, machine or something. It's gonna mind control your mind or something like that. But I'm like, if you're gonna say like lesbians and gays, marry each other on shows and all that, then you're kind of saying it like, kids and all that, or like be single or something like that, or in a relationship. I've actually watched a lot of movies and stuff with people focusing on relationships, and I'm not interested, Hell, I actually watched Family Guy when I was I think I was I was 6 or 7 years old when I started watching it. But yeah, I watched Family Guy and all that, and I never, I'm not a lesbian or gay, and that's kind of the thing. But yeah, that's the thing, though. I don't know if this is going to affect anything. Honestly, I don't even know if they really even care about the franchises. I think they just want the freaking IP. That's what they want. That's kind of why this bid kind of got hostile, a hostile takeover, because Paramount really just wanted the IP and stuff. That's really what they wanted. I mean, I guess Netflix the same way, but Netflix, I think, kind of needs some IP because they don't really have a lot of stuff on there anymore. Pretty much everybody took all their stuff off of there, and yeah, it's hurting Hollywood too. It's biting them in the ass because it's costing too much for them to run these stupid platforms they created and to pay for all this stuff. But Netflix also, doesn't have really anything now to and all that. So yeah, I mean, this could actually cost Netflix some problems too, but Netflix is the one who dropped out, so, they dropped out of this, so, I mean, that's kind of they're on them, but I mean, it shouldn't have got this hostile either. They should have never gotten into a hostile takeover. That was unnecessary. They could have probably waited for somebody else to buy something out, but they didn't. And now we're probably going to deal with another problem I wanted to talk about. Now we're going to talk about how, Paramount, the Ellisons, just spent I was looking it up, I think unless they raised it more, they just spent $111 billion on freaking Warner Brothers. Yeah, you heard that right, $111 billion on Warner Brothers. That is way more than fucking Disney paid for Fox, and what Netflix, was paying for Warner Brothers originally. I mean, I think 80 billion was a lot too, because I've said that. I think Disney way overspent on Fox, and they spent 71 billion, and Warner Brothers was trying to get sold to Netflix and all for like 80 something billion. 80. So that's freaking insane, and now it's up to over $100 billion. $111 billion. And that is just ridiculous. That is freaking ridiculous. And all that. Of how much that's gonna cost. Now, I mean, I think I made a video talking about when it was 108, but now it's $3 billion more now, too. And I'm just like, where the hell are they gonna get this fucking money, I mean, they could probably, get it from like themselves because the Ellisons are pretty rich. But also, I don't know if that's gonna be enough to pay for that crap and all that. Then there's, the president. I mean, they're good friends of the president. The president may end up getting a loan too. But I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if the president would do that or not. Like, I mean, the president did get involved with this mess, but I don't know if he would actually do that, because that's kind of what happens. I think that's why Netflix also get bailed out, because I think, Netflix, like, one of the workers at Netflix or something like that, I think it was Netflix or something like that, they were trying to go all the way to, well, the president wanted them to go to, like, to the office or something, or apologize or something like that, and they didn't do that, which they probably should have. That would have made more sense, but also it's probably a good thing they didn't, because they would have spent a shit ton of money on freaking Warner Brothers, a shit ton of money, and all that. I guess to be fair, Netflix wasn't going to they weren't planning on getting as much for, I think they wanted, like, a lot of Warner Brothers, but not all of it. It sounds like Paramount's wanting to get all of it, so this may put them right back into fucking debt. And that's not a good thing. That's a bad. Of course, unless they, get their money from the Salvies overseas. I mean, I don't know if that rumor is true or not. That's just kind of a rumor that was going around. But, I mean, Disney is most of it's owned by China, so who knows? Yeah, I don't know if I've ever brought that up or not, but yeah, most of Disney is owned by China. And all that. I think that kind of happened when Iger kind of came along, because Iger is a huge fan of the Chinese and stuff. The problem is, though, like, especially when COVID hit, that kind of hurt a lot of the company, because you got to get your stuff overseas, That's why a lot of the companies actually struggle, because when you get stuff overseas, you have to ship it over here. Everybody was in lockdown. Some places weren't as bad as others, but, like, I feel like having, like, everything be made outside the country costs too much money, But, yeah, I mean, these countries sometimes do give you some good stuff. Like, I'll tell you guys, I don't know if dragons were ever real. I mean, I don't think they were, or where they came from. But I gotta admit, I like the Chinese dragons and stuff. They're really cool, but I wouldn't want everything to be coming, over here or going over there and all that to be made, because then, I feel like then it's costing more money to do all that, but I don't know. But, yeah, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it said the Salvies are a part of that too, but that would be bad, because then we might be sounding like it might be like a freaking Disney thing again, where, like, they might try to, like, make movies to appeal to the Salvies and not the U.S., and the Salvies are very strict. They're like China, that are very strict and all that, but they're worse. I think I've heard they're worse. So, they're, like, way worse. So, yeah, I don't know. But like I said, I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm just saying. But yeah, this whole thing, like I said, this whole thing was a mess. I'm just glad it's kind of over. I've stated too that I don't really care. I mean, I don't really want either of them to have it. It's kind of like the presidents we were getting. Like, it was kind of like a bad or worse situation. Like, we kind of wanted to pick the better one and all that. Like, people are kind of doing that. That's kind of how Warner Brothers and Paramount is here. They're kind of like, in the middle and all that. But, I mean, like, Warner Brothers and, the whole Netflix and Paramount thing, where they were trying to get Warner Brothers, it was a mess, and, but I don't know. I mean, that's the thing, too. I've said that, I was actually wanting Paramount to get it at first. I was. But then I was hearing, the whole Salvies thing, and then it just made me think about Disney and China and all that, and then they were raising the prices too much, like Disney did with Fox. They paid way too much for Fox. that's kind of what I looked at like with Warner Brothers here. That's kind of what I looked like with Warner Brothers. But I don't know. I mean, I don't want to dwell on it because I kind of want to see what happens, But I know there's people online that are really pissed about this, but I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't really matter where it goes, but I don't know. I'm actually kind of worried about Netflix because I'm like, if Netflix doesn't have any IP, will they survive, I mean, they got some stuff on there, like they got Johnny Test, and then they got the reboot, because it's one of the Netflix originals. But I don't know how that works. Like, I don't know if Netflix actually owns those or not. But I know Johnny Test has been on Netflix for years. Like, I don't know how long it's been. It's been years, though. I think since maybe 2013, maybe 2014 it's been on there. But I think I remember it being before that, because I remember, like, because it ended in 2014, and I remember, like, seeing new stuff coming on. So I think I remember seeing it on there when I think that it was just 4 seasons. I could be wrong. But I know the show isn't over yet, so that just means it's been around since at least 2013. But that's insane, that's insane that the show lasted so long on there, because it was technically a Cartoon Network show, so maybe that might end up ending because Paramount owns, Warner Brothers now, but I don't know if some of that's licensed or what. So I don't know, But yeah, Netflix, though, is just, like I said, they don't really have a lot of content, but yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't really, want them around apparently anymore anyway, because of how expensive they are and all of that, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I kind of would like them to stay around, but I don't know what will happen to them, but I mean, but since they didn't spend all that money, because even when they were going to like 80 something like $1 billion, I don't remember how much it was, but when they were going there, like, they had to still borrow, but now they don't have to borrow anything because they're not buying anything, but, Paramount's going to have to borrow a shit ton of money, so, and I'm thinking we're probably going to see shit go up, because that's what happened with Disney when they bought Fox. A lot of shit went up. I mean, it was still going up before that, like, but it was not, I don't think it was as bad until, they got Fox. So when they got Fox, then I started noticing shit was skyrocketing and all that, because they went up and spent a lot of money, and they're not really making their money back because they keep buying shit. I mean, they just bought out Hulu, and then now they're gonna close it down. And people are like, well, it's still going to be around and all that. Hulu's going to be fine. It's going to be on Disney Plus as an add-on. But I'm like, the app itself is going to be gone and all that. And it's basically just Disney Plus at this point, So there's really no need for it, But I don't know. But that is kind of scary. I'm really scared about how much it's going to cost to, like, have this stuff. But I guess, to be fair, I don't really use streaming a whole lot anymore. I'm been collecting physical media, but, which is kind of, probably a highlight of Paramount getting sold to Warner Brothers for now, but I don't know how long it'll last either, because they don't actually upload, put all their stuff on DVD. Like, there's actually, like, not all their Nickelodeon, their Nick Jr. stuff is not on DVD. Like, they have, so Paramount and Warner Brothers both have, their, what did I say, Warner Brothers? Paramount, one of them has, they have, their Blue's Clues and stuff like that, and, I like Blue's Clues a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, I hate to admit it, but it's probably one of the few kids shows and all that actually still ages really well for me. Like, I think it's the animation, and then, like, I think Steve, is really funny on the show. He's really funny. Like, I really like him. And even the characters are really nice. Like, I just think it's a really good show. They tried to bring that show back, but it did not do very well. Like, I think it was not great because of, it's CGI and all that. Like, the original used some CGI too, but they used a little bit different stuff to make the animation stand out more. But I don't know. But yeah, I would like to see that on DVD. I would. And that's the problem. You cannot find all the episodes on DVD. Not even VHS. Like VHS does have a lot of releases that you cannot find on DVD, but it still wouldn't be enough, Like, I actually counted the episodes, but I don't know, unless they decide to release a complete series of it, which that would be really cool. Then so far we have to have a bunch of the media just to own the stuff. Oh, actually, even the VHSs, for some reason on DVD and streaming, they freaking removed the damn, like, Blue's Big Birthday. They removed the whole opening. There's a whole opening where they removed, where they actually removed, the beginning of it and all that with the live action stuff and the kids and all. I thought that was really cool. They removed that, and then, they did the same thing, with, apparently the Pajama Party episode. I think they might have done that with some others too, but yeah, that means, like, it's very hard to, like, find the stuff, with the original cuts. I mean, you could probably put the stuff on a disc, but it's just more annoying, that way, but I don't know. But, yeah, that's the thing, though. There are stuff like that. Like I said, a lot of Nick Jr. stuff does not have, VHS stuff and all either, but, DVDs, so you can't get all the episodes and stuff, but that's been a thing. That's kind of like Playhouse Disney too, the exact same thing. Like, you have to really search to find all the stuff, and not every show will have all the episodes on, physical media, so yeah, it's kind of annoying, but, that's kind of what that is. I'm trying to think what else there is. Oh yeah, there was, I wanted to talk about real quick too, that there will be, I think there's definitely going to be, layoffs. We're going to see some layoffs from, Paramount and Warner Brothers. Yeah, Paramount is going to get some, we're going to see a lot of layoffs. Because, well, we already had some, actually. We had a lot of people get laid off at Nickelodeon and stuff. Yeah, I'm glad, I can see they're not, like, that shows me they're not really doing shit to really fix anything, and people are like, the Ellisons have only been in there for, like, a year or something, but I'm like, they still been in there for a while, and it doesn't feel like they're doing anything to fix anything. Like I said, it feels more like they just want to own the shit. They don't really want to, they don't really care about the IP, and that's the problem. You need people to care about the IP. But yeah, I do think we're going to see more layoffs and all that too, and all that, and it's just going to be, like I said, it's going to be kind of a mess, but I don't know. I can't tell you guys which one is worse and all that. I can't tell you guys which one, because I think, honestly, I don't know, I think I would say maybe Paramount, but again, the way they're paying for all this crap, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't want to see Paramount go broke either, but again, they want it, so, there's nothing you can do, but I'm just saying, if anything, I think I've said before, I'll say it again, I'm kind of over Hollywood anyway. I mean, I'll go pick up, like, a movie, maybe watch one in the theater, but I don't really care for Hollywood a lot anymore, so I'm pretty much just done with them, so, yeah. But, yeah, some people are flipping out about this shit, too, like, because, again, they're Trump, because people don't like that they're fans of Trump, and I don't know if I've stated this, but I don't care who, I don't, like, when it comes to CEOs, I don't care if they support Trump freaking Biden or Obama or I don't know, freaking Lincoln or even the Queen of England or which or like or now we have the King of England. I mean I don't really care. I'm like, as long as they care about their shit and actually make good stuff, that's all I care about. And that's kind of, again, what I'm kind of worried about. Like, I don't know if anything's gonna get fixed. That's the problem. I don't know if anything's gonna get fixed, but I don't know. But yeah, I did state, like I said, I stated like too, like I'm on the side where 'cause this is what people are flipping on about on social media, especially Blue Sky, which that place is like freaking awful. Like I actually have an account, but I don't even go really on Blue Sky that much because I'm like, it's so bad and toxic over there. I mean, I don't really mind being somewhere, but I'm like, I don't want to have like all these different streaming platforms and all that, and I'm like, it is freaking horrible, but like, it is horrible over on Blue Sky, but it's like freaking, mid 2010s Twitter is what it is. It's bad, but yeah, people were talking about how I think they're afraid about the content. They're gonna get rid of all the LGBTQ thing and all that, and I like I said, I don't care if people hate me for this, but I don't think it's a problem as long as you make a good story, like a good story. Yep, you hear that? Make a good story, and don't shove it in like every single thing. Like, we don't need it in every single show and movie. And all that. Hell, I have people saying that freaking Lightyear failed because of the LGBTQ thing. I have people still saying that. And I'm like, it didn't fail because of that. It failed because it was a shitty fucking movie. And yeah, I mean, them putting that in there felt forced. And I kind of hated that. Like, I didn't feel like it was necessary. I mean, the whole movie wasn't really necessary, but you know what I mean? Like, that was definitely not necessary. They just put that in there and just to, like, please an audience, instead of telling a good story, But they've made good shows before, like Gravity Falls. They have the gay cops in it. Adventure Time. They have, like, one of the main characters has a relationship with another main character. That was not a problem. And Steven Universe, same way. Hell, they actually didn't even focus on it that long. They focused more on Steven himself and not the relationship part. And I see people on there just being like, they don't want to show their kids this and that, and I'm like, I just don't agree. Like, I don't think it's a problem as long as they tell a good story, And like I said, this shit's been around for a long time, I've said that. I said it's been around for a while, and it was, not really a problem back then. It's just, I think the problem is they shoved it down our throats too much, and people just got sick of it, But yeah, they need to tell good stories. They need to do that. They need to, like, I mean, yeah, I don't mind seeing this stuff in cartoons and stuff, but I want good stories. I don't want these fucking shitty, ass movies. Like, especially, like, the show Velma. That one was really bad and all. I've mentioned that, and then I said Lightyear was bad. I mean, that one, like I said, that one's not really because, that one didn't have really the LGBTQ thing in it, except that one scene, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I feel like they just throw this shit in here and all, and it makes no sense at all. But I mean, I'll probably have people hate me for it, but like I said, I don't care. Like, I'm just like, I'm just throwing my opinion out. That's why I say for people to check out my reviews and stuff instead, because I talk about other stuff too, But when it comes to Warner Brothers and and Paramount, and then the Netflix thing, Netflix and Paramount going back at it, I do see people like that, and like I said, I don't want to, like, I don't know, I think maybe Paramount might be better off, but I don't know, I'm kind of like, also, I'm like, I don't want to see, Paramount, like I said, go out of business because of how much they're spending on this shit, but also, I'm just saying, Paramount, is, well, Paramount, is probably the better option because of the physical media and stuff. Because they actually care more about physical media. Netflix actually got rid of that, which I'm surprised they kept it for so long. But yeah, they used to have these like things where you could get like slips and like. Unfortunately, I think I was hearing you could only rent the stuff. I was actually going to actually buy one of them, by the way, but they were saying it was only renting, so I was like, I'm not even gonna buy it. I'm like, I don't want to rent it, I want to buy it, I could probably go on eBay. Actually, I can go on eBay and find that stuff, but it's really expensive. But I'm just like that. I like to collect physical media and stuff, but I don't know. But we'll have to see how this goes. Like I said, this is something I was not expecting to happen so quickly. But yeah, here we are. But yeah, I don't know. But but I think people, like I said, people are just kind of moving on from Hollywood as it is. But but I guess at least Warner Brothers is safe for now. So they won't be like disappearing and all that. But I'm hoping they don't have to change the name like Disney did with Fox, because they don't own all of Fox and all that. I still don't know what that idea is. I'm like, they don't own the Fox name, but like Family Guy and American Dad and all that go straight to Fox, which is something they don't own. So I don't know how that is, but we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, I don't know, I guess I don't think I have a lot else to say, really. I mean, this ended up being a long video, but I don't have a lot else to say, but yeah, I'm curious if, like, also if Johnny Test will go, like I said, I am curious if Johnny Test will go with, Paramount or not, because I don't know if they own would own, like, that show or not, because that show did air on the platform, but they don't actually own it, But I don't know. But I just don't know what they're really gonna get. I mean, they're gonna get a lot of IP, but it sounds too much like the Disney and Fox situation, where they're paying way too much for something, and it's like at the end of the day, like, what are they gonna really get all out of this? I mean, they're gonna get like Cartoon Network and their shows and stuff, but I feel like Warner Brothers is pretty damaged and all that, and even Adult Swim, that's just it has some shows on it, but not really a lot of IP on there. And then Boomerang, Boomerang is another channel, but that was more of like the 8 or older stuff, so I'm like, what will they get out of that, I guess they'll get like Hanna-Barbera, because that was what Boomerang kind of was. Before they, ruined Boomerang, they fucking ruined Boomerang, I miss the old Boomerang logo, but I'm just saying, like, I want all this stuff to get better, but I don't think it is, but we'll see what happens. But I don't, usually when there's mergers, a lot of times they don't really fix a lot of the problems, but like I said, we'll just have to see what happens. But I guess with Paramount too, also getting Warner Brothers, we may still have the TV channels on cable too, where if it went to Netflix, there would be no TV channels, even though a lot of them suck, but I don't know. Hey, maybe we can actually have them cancel freaking Teen Titans Go, because I really don't like that show and all that, because a lot of people don't like it because it's kind of it insults people and all that. But I don't know if they'll do anything about that or not. Well, let's have to see. Like I said, we'll have to see. But I know some people like Teen Titans Go. I just don't. I really don't. And I think that kind of killed Cartoon Network. Kind of similar to SpongeBob killing, Nickelodeon, but with Cartoon Network. I felt like, that show was bad, while SpongeBob still had a lot of good episodes in it, but I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead, I said, and for real this time, let things go from here, but we'll see what happens. We can only wait and see. So, anywho, bye-bye.